All right, boys, we are 2 days from the NBA Finals. We got the Pacers versus the Thunder. How are we feeling about it?
This is an interesting matchup. Certainly not what I don't think what anyone expected. We had two teams win 60 games in the East, and neither of them made the finals or even the conference finals. So definitely not on anyone's board going into the season. But I think it's going to be an exciting one.
Some very deep teams, so a lot of players we need to mention.
Very true, very true. I think we're going to start it off because there's a lot less to say, in my opinion, with the Thunder beating the Timberwolves in the Western Conference Finals. I mean, that was just an assault on the state of Minnesota and everything it stands for. Tim Walz should have called a state of emergency, in my opinion. What did you guys think about that series?
For me, it went just about exactly as expected. Randall.
Enough said.
Need I say more? Had the turnover issue that was predicted. It's not like a wild prediction that Randall was gonna turn the ball over, considering he did it before in the past series. But yeah, they just have Dort for Ant, and nobody else really got it going for any consistent stretch, other than maybe like Nickeil Alexander-Walker. For some reason, he went off in a couple of their games.
Terrence Shannon Jr. shout out.
Facts. Yeah, not too surprising. I think I said Thunder in 6, but I just gave the Timberwolves like a couple games, assuming Ant would go off, but he kind of got bottled up this series. Mike Conley's allegedly still alive.
Yeah, you know I got mad love from Mike Conley over here, but oh man, it might be time.
Leave the game before it leaves you. Ben, you kind of covered it. There's just no offensive consistency outside of Ant, and when you've got Ant shut down, it's just a shit show. Like Julius, he actually had like a few decent games, but there were two like complete shitters. He was getting bitched by dudes who were like 8 inches shorter than him. And yeah, like DiVincenzo isn't great. McDaniels actually I thought was okay. Naz Reid was really probably the weakest point. I think he should be gone in the offseason, considering what they pay him. They played him like 25 minutes a game around there or something, and he doesn't do anything on offense, and his defensive value isn't enough to justify that. Yeah, and like you said, Ant was getting shut down. Like the weak handle that, I did mention it in the previews, but I think I was just blinded by being a part-time Wolves fan. It was not a crazy prediction to say that there would be turnover issues for him. Like Caruso, I think especially was bad. Lou Dort, like you mentioned. And then Chet's like rim deterrence just forces him to make bad shots and bad decisions.
Yeah, there's not all that much left to say. They didn't get enough out of Randall and Ant, and you're not going to win games when you get nothing out of them. They wasted a game where DiVincenzo and Na had like 54 combined points or something like that, and they lost. Just to do a quick autopsy on the Timberwolves as a whole, there is not enough ball handling on that team. And I see all the rumors of them wanting Kevin Durant, but I don't think that really solves the problem. He's just like more consistent Julius Randle. They need a point guard, and I kind of, before I started talking right now, I sort of talked myself into Timberwolves going after Trae Young. You guys have any quick thoughts on that?
Ooh.
I will say real quick, I guess he's not the OKC Thunder, but he would be 54, whatever, Trey ball shooting OD hang pulls or whatever.
That's true. That's how you beat Chet,
so
is just flabbergast him with OD hang pulls.
Yeah, would have changed the series. I'll just go in on like what the Timberwolves might want to do moving forward. Gobert's like 32, so if they don't move off of him like now, I don't see them getting any return. I think they stay with Nas, honestly, because I think Nas is on like a 12-15 million. It's in the teens or in the below 20 million.
I think he's a free agent though, so
we'll see
if he gets the same amount or if he gets more elsewhere.
Yeah, I think they just need to get rid of the old guys. Gobert is just so hit and miss. It's just a matchup dependent thing. Like, they kind of have him just to beat Denver, and that's about it. Like, the only purpose he has on the team.
Yeah, they're just too fucking old, exactly. And I think the Gobert thing is interesting because you're right. Like, he is going to fall off even more than he kind of already has. But, like, I do think they get a fair bit worse without him, too. Like, the defensive impact is definitely there for him still. So it's really a bit of a lose-lose where you either stick with him for too long and end up, having his contract turn bad, or you lose, your defensive cornerstone. And then, yeah, the ball handling too. I mean, maybe you can. It's a bit of a reach, I think, to expect Dillingham to develop into a main ball handler. So yeah, I think you are probably going to end up looking outside for that. But regardless, I think there's some serious moves to be made for the Wolves.
Yeah, Nate brought up Trae Young. I forgot about that, but I don't think I like that at all. I mean, I don't like Trae Young at all for like any team trying to win. That's just my observation. But I suppose it fits. I guess they can hide his defense, but Ant really struggled to shoot this series, so that could get horrendous. Having Ant and Trae like go 3 of 23 from 3 combined. And
certainly that would not be ideal. But
yeah,
I mean, current Trae Young is not too much worse on defense than current Mike Conley, and he's just a better ball handler, better shooter at this point probably. At least teams respect his three-point shooting even if he's not that efficient. You don't just leave him open. So I don't know. Could be something to look at. I kind of doubt he's even available. It's just something that popped into my head. All right, so we had the Pacers beating the Knicks in 6 games. What did you guys think about that one?
It's the same issues we've seen all year for the Knicks. It's just so hard to build a good team defense with Cat. This was, I think, especially bad. You had bad rim protection, which you're always going to get, but the foul trouble, it was pretty frustrating to watch. I mean, he's sitting through the first half of the fourth in a lot of these games. And then for Indy, I mean, they just blew them out of the water in transition. Like, they took advantage of some weak ball handling outside of Brunson, obviously, and they just like forced a bunch of steals, attacked the boards, and just got tons of like easy offense. And Indiana's defense was also pretty good. Like, Miles Turner was really good, Mathurin was really good, even Tyrese Halliburton I thought was far above his regular season levels on defense. This kind of proved that this team isn't just Hallie, especially like Game 6 where Hallie starts off really cold. You do have this sort of offensive firepower to score really well when Halliburton's 3 isn't falling. That's pretty much my assessment, is that this team does not need to have Halliburton, scoring 30 a game to have an effective offense.
Yeah, a very interesting series because of Game 1. Aaron Nesmith having the greatest three-point shooting fourth quarter in playoff history. Like, certainly top 10. Like, what? He made how many? I think he finished the game like 8 of 9 from 3. And he was like 6 for 6 or 6 of 7 from 3 in the fourth. Turns out in a 7-game series, if you get a crazy game like that, it can certainly sway the series, because the Knicks win that game, they would at least be in a Game 7. So I think for the Knicks, like, you could be pretty optimistic about the future. I don't think the Cat defensive issue is as prominent because he was on the Timberwolves with like a top 5 defense. I put that a lot on the coaching. It has been reported today that they have fired Tibbs, which is pretty warranted for playing DeLon Wright, Landry Shamet together minutes multiple times in multiple games. Like, I don't know. I don't even know what to say about that. Very, very bad, like, defensive strategies. I predicted the Knicks to win, and I was kind of assuming Tibbs would be like a good defensive coach. Seems I've overrated him in that aspect. I don't know I forget exactly what I said about Siakam. Our prediction video but he was clearly the X factor for the Pacers. He won the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, which is a weird
award.
Yeah, it's very weird that's a thing. Oh, I guess I can get this out now. I hate Reggie Miller. Like, just as a commentator, he's just pretty bad. Like, oh well, Cat's just faking an injury. It's just for show that he's holding his knee. And the very classic Pacers up 13, like in the fourth with like 8 minutes to go, and I quote, "This lead means nothing." No added context, no explanation. And he had a vote for Eastern Conference Finals MVP, and like I think it's like 9 or like it's some odd 11 people vote for it. Pretty stupid award, but shout out Pascal Siakam. He was balling out, and it really made the difference. I think he averaged 25 or 26 maybe, but if he averages like 16 points a game, they lose in 5 or lose in 6. He's really huge for them, especially in the game 6. They have no transition defense. Like, nobody is interested in getting back, and I think they were just kind of done. I think going forward, the Knicks have good roster construction. They might look to get Michael Malone or one of the many coaches that have been fired this season.
Cat is kind of a defensive problem. I'm with Zach on that one. He did play on a good defense with the Timberwolves, but there is simply no Rudy Gobert on the Knicks. Their defense was better when he was in there with Mitchell Robinson, but you still have some problems on that side. I mean, they fired Tibbs, so maybe whoever they bring in can turn that around. I guess we'll have to wait and see on that. I still like the Knicks core a bit. I think they'll be decent for at least the immediate future, like next couple seasons. They just need depth, though, because like Ben, like you said, they had to turn to DeLon Wright and Landry Shamet in the Eastern Conference Finals. You simply don't wish that on anyone. So yeah, they need some actual bench players. Acquiring a coach who will play more than 4 people in a basketball game will certainly help,
or at least one that won't wait until the playoffs to try new lineups with their bench.
Yeah, that would be helpful for the Knicks, I think. I do like Tibbs as a coach when it comes to like scheme and all that sort of thing. Defensively, I think he's all right. And they ran a decent offense throughout the playoffs, I think, but his rotations are just abysmal. So maybe that's the issue with the Knicks, although, like I said, their roster needs some added pieces. Pacers, though, they just shot the lights out when they needed to. They're just clutch demons, all of them. That's the only way it can be explained. Every single Pacers player is built for the moment. And maybe that's the way you win in the modern NBA, is just have guys that make it happen when they need to. So, you know, I'm thinking about their matchup with the Thunder. I won't get too much into it yet, but it's bad on paper. Do I pick the vibes or do I pick the analytics? We'll get with that said, do you guys have more thoughts on the Eastern Conference Finals, or is it time to make some predictions about the actual finals?
I think it might be time.
It's time.
All right, I'll kick us off here with some talk about matchups, specifically in the starting lineups. I think overall, this is a pretty good defensive matchup both ways, especially if Halliburton plays the defense we saw him play in the Knicks series and not what he was doing in the regular season. Guarding Shea is simply not possible for a few reasons, and I think we all know what those reasons are. One, he is a fantastic offensive player, which simply can't be denied. Two, you are occasionally not allowed to go near him. Either way, I think there are certainly worse options to guard him with than Nembhard and Nesmith. You're never going to stop him, but those guys can definitely give him some trouble on certain possessions. We saw them play immaculate defense against Jalen Brunson on some plays, some games. Not that he's the same player that Shea is, but you feel comfortable having those guys as your point of attack defenders there. Every single player on the Thunder is just an elite defender. I'm curious to see who they'll put on Halliburton. I think it'll probably be Lou Dort. I could see it being J-Dub, who I would not have voted for all defensive team, but I'm certainly not going to say he's a bad defender. And I think the double big lineup for the Thunder will really help stop Siakam, which, like Ben said, he was pretty much the X factor against the Knicks because they just didn't really have anyone who could slow him down. I think you have Chet and Hartenstein down in the paint. That's going to help quite a bit. You feel pretty good about... I'm pretty sure they're going to put Chet on Siakam full-time, and I think you feel decent about him being on the perimeter against Siakam too. You're at least not super concerned about it, especially with Hartenstein down there. Overall, I say the teams probably match up to guard each other pretty well. The Pacers' transition game is awesome, but the problem with that is the Thunder create a ton of turnovers, and that gets them out in transition too. Now, Ben put this in my attention before we started recording. Halliburton's numbers against the Thunder this season are simply wretched. There's not really another word for it. But perhaps playoff Halliburton has it in him to have one of those games where he just simply doesn't turn the ball over. And I think that's an advantage the Pacers have when compared to what just happened to the Timberwolves, is that they have Halliburton and Nembhard in the backcourt, who you both feel pretty comfortable with the ball in their hands to not just throw it away most of the time, as opposed to the zero effective ball handlers the Timberwolves had. So I don't think the turnovers will be as much of an issue. There's also not a Julius Randle to just hand the ball to the other team. Ben, I think this was your line in our group chat during one of the Timberwolves Thunder game, where the refs should just blow the whistle and call a foul the other way whenever Julius Randle touches the ball, because it's going to be a turnover anyways.
Yeah, they should just blow the whistle, point the other way. Randle has the ball. It is now OKC ball.
Yeah, there's certainly not a player like that on the Pacers, so I think you'd be crazy to say it won't be closer than that Timberwolves series. I'm grappling with what I'm about to say here because it don't feel good. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go Thunder. I'm probably going in 6. That's my analytics-based pick. I am also going to lob out my vibes-based pick, which is Pacers in 5.
I feel like this finals will expose how bad the Knicks defense was and why Tibbs got fired. Because I think just like rudimentary understanding and connecting with the players will kind of get the job done on containing a lot of the transition defense, especially since the Thunder don't turn the ball over very much at all, and they create a lot of turnovers. But I think Tyrese can get pretty bottled up. The Knicks on a lot of the screens were going over the screens with Halliburton and just giving him a straight line drive to the basket where he could just kick out for wide open threes. I don't foresee that happening in this series. It's not too difficult to keep Tyrese from scoring and to keep him out of the paint. He's a great player, but I don't like him in this matchup with Dort and all the 6'5" guys that they can like interchangeably put on him. I'm trying to think of a scenario in which the Pacers win. It definitely would be the Thunder can't shoot from 3 at all, and the Pacers just light it up, because the Thunder, especially in the Timberwolves series, haven't really shot the ball very well at all, and way worse than their regular season numbers. I suppose that's an area that the Pacers could take advantage of. So for that, I'm also leaning Thunder in 6. I was gonna say 5, but I think 2 of these games, the Pacers are just going to shoot 45% plus from 3. The Thunder won't shoot as many threes, and they'll kind of just get beat off the analytics play with that.
The Thunder will get beat off, to quote Ben.
They might like that. I was kind of thinking about this. Brunson is like low-key a good scout team player for Shea. The mid-range bag and like the foul baiting, if we're being honest. Obviously Shea has more tools, especially around the rim, but like you can sort of see the patterns there. And like you said, like Nesmith and Nembhard were doing really good. They were switching on Brunson a lot, which I didn't love. There were a couple possessions, like earlier in the series, where Miles Turner was on him and he just got fried. So I really hope they don't do that. And I don't really think you need to switch against OKC. Like, they don't really try and force switches intentionally as much. And Shea doesn't really take advantage of got dudes trying to fight around screens. He's not like a launch it if you give him a breath type of guy. He kind of wants to put defenders in the position he wants by himself and score on his own terms, really. Yeah, like, I think they have the personnel to, I don't know, not let Shea completely run over them, but it's just will they let him just fry Miles Turner, which I hope not. Like you guys were talking about, like I think the Pacers can just shoot the lights out for a few games. I was talking to Nate about this before, but the shooting numbers of playoff and regular season for some of these guys are absurd. So Siakam 39% in the regular season, 46 in the playoffs. Aaron Nesmith 43% from 3 in the regular season, 50 in the playoffs. Nembhard 29% in the regular season, 48% in the playoffs. And I think, in fairness, a lot of this is them just getting better looks in transition. And I don't think this is going to happen as much against OKC. Because, OKC is, I think, one of the few teams that has the youth and the conditioning to run with the Pacers. Like, especially in Game 6, you saw they just, completely ran the Knicks just into the ground. I don't think that can happen with OKC, especially how they've been off for about a week, and there's a few more days until the game starts. So yeah, I think we are going to see some hot shooting nights from the Pacers, but ultimately, yeah, I don't know how well they can handle Shea and just how well the Pacers offense can withstand OKC's defense. Because, the scoring, I will say, I think the scoring in transition for the Pacers offense kind of makes them not matchup proof, but less dependent, just because you're going against essentially a random set of players on some possessions, but you do eventually have to get in the half court, and OKC is just a historic defense in that case. So I think OKC is definitely the better team. I think I'm going to end up OKC in 6. I think the Pacers win a game by 20 plus, but it's still OKC in 6.
So we all had the exact same pick. I am going to play devil's advocate for a second and say I don't think that the Pacers have no chance here.
Mm.
If the Thunder have their sort of shooting woes that we see from time to time, especially when Isaiah Joe, my underrated X factor here, if he's not on it like he wasn't in the Nuggets series, they could have a really tough time. Am I saying Isaiah Joe will win Finals MVP? No.
Absolutely.
As much as I'd like to say that would be the case, I think he is a very underrated piece in this series, in that if he is shooting the ball like he often does in the low to mid 40% from 3, then this will be a lot easier for the Thunder. He just creates a lot of space for their offense. They don't have a ton of shooting that's consistent outside of him, so if he's on it, that's helpful. Cason Wallace is a similar case, no pun intended there. Yeah, if those guys are shooting the 3 well, it'll be easy for them. If they're not, I could easily see it going to 7. We discussed the Pacers are simply built for the moment. If this one goes to 7, I think I probably pick the Pacers. If it doesn't,
yes,
that probably means the Thunder have just run away with it and everyone's playing consistently.
I can get behind all that. I think throughout this whole season, I feel like the narrative's been a little twisted around OKC, that they're this super team, and it is a really good team, and they do fit well around Shea, but yeah, the actual offensive capabilities of a lot of these guys, especially shooting off the dribble, is not ridiculous. You definitely can see them have slow offensive nights. And I mean, yeah, if the Pacers are shooting anywhere near how they have for the rest of the playoffs, granted against far worse defenses, but if they're shooting even close to that level, it gets close for sure. And like you said, I think if it goes to 7, I definitely pick the Pacers in a Game 7.
That's interesting. I think that the Pacers would not have a great chance in Game 7. I think the home court of OKC is pretty good. They're really going to need to split the home games. If they go down 2-0, I think it's pretty much over. They kind of need to keep this series close, obviously, but it's hard to gauge experience when outside of Siakam, none of these guys have finals, and Caruso, I guess. None of these guys have finals experience. Because usually you can kind of go down the list. I wouldn't say every time, but I'd say maybe 60-40. The team with the most experience wins wins the finals. I will say that probably the Thunder do have a more pressure-proof squad. They already played a Game 7 versus the Nuggets. Even if the Pacers lose, I think it'll be good for them to get this experience. And, you know, I can see some Miles Turner stinkers. Nesmith might not be the best shooter of all time. Jury's still out on that one, though. They're just going to need a lot from Halliburton, and I just don't see that happening. And I don't see them keeping Shea in check. They did okay on Brunson, but he still torched them a ton. And the Knicks need Brunson to cook more than the Thunder need Shea to cook. For the Shea to Brunson, you know, scout team comp, Shea is Brunson without the girth and tonnage.
He has more length, though. Let's be clear.
But I do think that, in all seriousness, that I think Shea's taller than Brunson, and he probably weighs less. I think that's a big factor with drawing fouls. Like, Nesmith will not be able to play the same defense that he did on Brunson. Nembhard did better at not fouling Brunson, but Nesmith kind of fouled Brunson like a lot. I think he'll get in foul trouble a lot, and that'll be a pretty big deal because they kind of need him. One thing I'm also thinking of is it's Jarris Walker, because he went down with probably one of the worst ankle sprains I've ever seen on TV. I didn't get a second look at it, but it appeared that he turned his ankle, and usually when you turn your ankle, it turns right back, and it's bad, but they come back in a week. But it seemed like he turned it and never turned it back during the replay, at least from what I saw. So
yeah, his shit exploded. His role on the team is now DoorDashing Culver's.
Yeah. But yeah, shout out Tomas Bryant.
Yeah, true.
Not sure how Tony Bradley was getting minutes over him.
He's also deceased as well now, so we won't be seeing him.
Also, shout out Ben Sheppard. He's not even that good. I just think he looks kind of funny.
He had some
He
solid
certainly
games against the Knicks.
Yeah, no, you're...
Belmont University legend, I want to say.
Yes. Wow. Good pull.
I have perhaps one more thought. Towards the end of the Knicks series, the Pacers' defense, their whole strategy on Brunson changed from switching. Well, it started switching everything. Then it went to switching just the wing defenders. And by Game 6, it was just... Andrew Nembhard, you are chasing Jalen Brunson the entire game. That gave him a lot of problems. I would imagine Carlisle will have seen what that was like and start the series with the same strategy against Shea, probably. If that works out the way it did against Brunson, finding that strategy early in this series compared to late in the last one, that could be an advantage for the Pacers. I would like if it was. And yeah, it just comes down to, for the Pacers, stay hot, keep the turnovers down, and hope that the catch and shoot guys, all those guys on the Thunder, just don't shoot the ball well. That's about the best way I could see the Pacers winning this. The Thunder definitely have a better chance, which is why we all picked them. Yeah,
as we're kind of ending this video, just some last thoughts. I do think that the Pacers defense can be pretty undisciplined at times. You know, watching the Knicks Pacers series, there were some plays that Nembhard got beat. I mean, it's Brunson, so you know you're gonna get cooked sometimes. And then Nesmith getting in foul trouble, not being as disciplined with his hands and things of that nature. Miles Turner could be huge depending on if the Thunder do the double big lineup, because he could just float around the rim with Hartenstein, which is also a reason why I don't think they'll go for the double big lineup as much, because the Pacers are so perimeter oriented and because you probably want to stretch out Miles Turner to like Chet.
Yeah, I mean, the Pacers are definitely better equipped to go 5 out than the Timberwolves were. So, I mean, I could see Miles Turner doing some interesting things, you know, catch and shoot or rim running when Hartenstein can't just sit under the rim with Miles Turner out there. Maybe that creates some more space. The problem with that, though, I'm realizing, is that if Chet is also down there, or like if either of them are down there, you have a lot of rim protection, and if both of them are down there, you're simply not scoring at the rim. Thunder defense is just probably too versatile to be exploited, but you know, we shall see. Will the vibes of the East beat the analytics of the West? Because that's how the playoffs have gone so far.
One thing I forgot to mention that we brought up before we started recording was that the Thunder have one loss versus the Eastern Conference in the regular season. So that might be something to note.
You are forgetting, however, their second uncounted loss to the Milwaukee Bucks in the NBA Cup final. Perhaps that means they're not clutch. Who could say?
This probably will be. They'll win the championship and have like 2 losses versus the East. It's like in the entire season and playoffs. So I think that's probably a record. That will be an ESPN stat.
I was gonna look at what the 2016 Warriors record against the East was in the regular season, but it doesn't even matter because they certainly had 4 losses in the playoffs against the East.
Indeed, they did, yeah.
If we have no more thoughts or miscellaneous shout-outs to give out, like to Ousmane and Dieng, then I think we're good to wrap it up here.
I think I just want to summarize this as spreadsheet basketball versus hype moments and aura, and I think we all know which side we're taking.
Thanks for watching our Fucking We Ball NBA Finals preview in the year 2025. Should be a good one. Like I said, thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment telling us what you agreed with, what you didn't agree with, and we'll catch you in the next one.